All right, guys, Paul Singh, the Market Speculator, with the trade report for Monday, April 23rd, 2018. Big earnings today with Google reporting after hours. We have a pretty active earnings week. Amazon on the 26th, and some other big names as well. We've also got Halliburton, which is a focus list stock, reporting today, which could have an impact on energy. Look at the market pre-markets to start Monday. We're up a little bit. SPY 0.23%, NASDAQ 0.34%, and oil is down 1%. I'd like to see a little more of that so we could potentially get into a pullback play in oil. Let's look at SPY, still testing right around the 9 and 50. We talked about that declining 50-day moving averages, which is why we haven't gotten too aggressive at this point. But we'll see if it comes back up here. If it starts to pull back in a little more, that is not a good sign for the market. And volume did pick up on Friday a bit. If we look at the Qs, which obviously impacts QQQ trade, same thing. We're going to hold here to the low of Friday and see if we get that back and forth test here. If we do break below that level, I will be out of TQQ. IWM here holding up much better above its 9 and way above the 50-day moving average. That's an index play we could potentially take in the week if we start to bounce. And then oil here has been on a tear. What I'd like to see, either test of 9 and bounce, or test of the old high, which would be a little deeper and bounce. So those are two key levels we're going to watch in oil. Pay attention to them. The 9 EMA, which corresponds with this range in here, and then the old high, which would be a better entry point, right around 323. And then we can go to the focus list here, and let's get started on the focus list. UWT here would be the same thing, same ranges. So specifically the trade we're looking for, we'd like to see a pullback to say 32.25 to 35, somewhere in there, and then to see it start bouncing, that would get us into oil. So we're watching oil very closely this week. XLE, same thing. We've got a potential gap fill here, and that corresponds with the 9, which would be a good spot to enter. We've got our oil stocks, DO, same pattern here. CVX, the big energy play, same pattern there. We've got RIG, which is a little bit different in how far it's run. Would need a little bit of a deeper pullback, and Halliburton reports today, so we'll see how the earnings breakout plays, and then AOS as well, consolidating post breakout. So those are four or five energy plays we're looking at right now. AAOI, there's a lot of mid-level techs that are doing really well. AAOI has been on a huge downtrend for quite a while after being a great momentum stock, pulled into the range in here, right to the gap fill, and now is starting to bounce. So a lot of room to the upside. We've got 58 for the gap fill. We've got 46 for the 200-day moving average, which also corresponds to where it gapped down before, and we're all the way down at 32, 33. A little bit of a pullback would be nice, but really you could enter here with a smaller position size and wide stop, and it looks pretty good. Then we've got another kind of mid-level tech SQ, much better overall pattern, bouncing off the 50-day in the 9. Top of the range is at 57. All of these things, we've got to pay attention to the earnings dates before potential entry, and that makes it tough for a lot of these because they've got earnings coming up. Grub, very similar pattern to SQ, holding the 50 and the 9, looking really well. Spot, one of our IPO plays here, very strong on Friday, and we've got the top of the range up here at 166. If it ever breaks that range, could go on a huge momentum run. Twitter, also looking very strong, back above the 50-day. We could enter here, has already had earnings a while ago, and then top of the range is 36. Two commodities plays that aren't entries right now, but if X breaks the 50, and then FCX already has broke its 50 and is gapping down actually this morning. We need to see some strength there. Retail got hit a little bit at the end of the last week, but Macy's is still looking good. Lulu is still looking good, and Urban got hit a little bit. We'll see if it bounces back up over the 9. WAI looks good. Also WABA for a China stock looks good. BABA needs to get up over the 50. That would be our trigger there. And then Solar's FSLR holding the breakout range, earnings breakout range. SEDG also looking very strong. So that's a focus list to start the week. We're in TQQQ right now, and remember the bottom of the range is where we're going to loosen the stop a little bit, bottom of the range, and then Netflix holding up over our gap, over our earnings breakout range in here. So things are looking decent for the market. We just need to make sure that we don't start to see a breakdown. Then we get back out of positions and potentially even thinking about shorting.